Are you coming inbound this year? Are you
I
going to?
am.
Could you please ride your horse there? I want you to ride in majestically, singing some
I
operatic
have to get
song.
started now to ride her to San Francisco.
Hello, and welcome to episode 21 of Developers After Dark. We're old enough to drink, boys.
Oh my
Old enough to
Lord.
drink for 21. This is good. Good day. But no, yeah, it's we're on episode 21, and we have a very special guest, someone that all of us on the stage here know. I was just saying before we went live that I really don't have to do much in this episode because Dennis, AJ, and Melinda know each other so well that I can kind of just sit back and enjoy the show a little bit. So this will be very nice. But before we get started, let me just jump into a couple of quick things that I wanted to pay a couple of bills with. First of all, anybody who's listening on audio, if you go to devsafterdarkpod.com, that is a website where you can find all about us, past episodes. And if you want to be a guest on the show, there's also a form on that homepage that you can fill out. And then we'll get in touch with you and we'll set up a date to talk, just like we're doing now and just like we've done for 20 episodes previous. So if you go to devsafterdarkpod.com, you can check that out. As always, if you're ever trying to figure out what's going on in the dev space here at HubSpot, you're definitely going to want to, there's a lot of videos you can watch, not just us. I don't want to be selfish, but at HubSpot Developers on YouTube, that's the channel for us and everything else development. You will find videos from, we've got Bree Hall, we've got Hannah, there's tons of people on there that you will learn so much from. Even Dennis is on there too. That might be a reason not to go, but we'll see. We'll see. But definitely check that out. Subscribe, check out all of the videos, click a couple likes and learn quite a bit from all of that. I wanted to give a special shout out to I just started messing with this yesterday, but Agent AI, you're probably going to want to check this out because we've all been talking about AI, and this is basically going to be a marketplace and a professional network for AI agents and the people who love them. So basically at the end of the day, you're going to discover, you're going to connect with, and you're going to hire AI agents to do useful things. If you go to the site, there's also like what it is all about, and it describes pretty much everything about what you're going to do there. Basically, like an AI agent uses artificial intelligence to achieve goals. It gives some, basic definitions, but at the end of the day, it's going to give you quite a few tools. And I'm just on the homepage right now. I'm scrolling a little bit. You've got things like video script generators. You have one of the ones that I'm very interested in checking out is web design graders. So there's quite a few things there that's going to take the AI element and kind of solve problems for you. So take a look at that and check that out. That was something that I just started messing with myself. Found it to be very, very amazing, the things that you can do. I'm actually trying to make something myself, but so go check that out. That's something you're really going to want to mess with a little bit. And we're a couple weeks out of the premiere of it, but always, there's some new videos up there as well. Our friend Ricky here at HubSpot, his video is now up where he describes everything about the dev tools with regards to the Spring Spotlight. So for those of you on audio, if you go to developers.hubspot.com/ss25-dev-tools, you are going to check out everything that was announced in the Spring Spotlight with regards to dev tools. Things from app cards to updated certifications, you name it, it's all on there, and you can read all about it, and you can watch some really great videos from some really great HubSpotters as well. So with Nick, that being said,
aren't you for radio? Aren't you supposed to like repeat it, like the address at least twice?
You can do that. I see that on infomercials a lot. We can try.
Try that. Just once is good enough for him. That's fine.
I was gonna say there's a steady pace I'm trying to keep here because I don't want to keep our guest waiting.
Well, okay, I apologize.
As opposed to someone who would rudely interrupt when someone's trying to pay the bills. But no, the very last thing I just wanted to mention was, of course, if you go to developers.hubspot.com/changelog, you're going to find everything you're going to need to know about what's going on with the developer changelog. That's not just what happens, but what's upcoming as well, because you don't want to get blindsided by anything that happens throughout. And there is plenty that happens, even on a daily basis. I forget what I saw. There was, who did we talk to There was somebody we had talked to. I think it was Nathan, because I was going back and I was actually doing show notes, Dennis. You'd be proud of me. And even Nathan said, like, in the 6 minutes that we were talking, there was probably like 5 new things that have happened in HubSpot just in that like small time frame. So he's not wrong. Things happen at such a quick pace. So you're going to want to go and check that out. Again, for Dennis, that's developers.hubspot.com/changelog. So
Brilliant.
With all of that out of the way, the reason why everyone is here is because of our guest today. Melinda, why don't you tell everyone who you are and what you do?
I am Melinda Green. I am a senior developer at Fulgren Mortine in Columbus, Ohio. We are now part of the Shipyard Collective as of, I think, last July. Shipyard was another big agency in Columbus, and they sort of acquired us, but it's more of a partnership type of thing. We're both big PR full service agencies. I am the HubSpot SME pretty much for the developer, the digital department.
Congratulations is in order too, because I just saw as I was creeping on your LinkedIn page for the last day or two, you are also a 2025 correspondent for Inbound.
Yeah, I've done that since I think maybe I don't remember when they started doing that. It was sometime during COVID, maybe when we were virtual, I started doing it. And I know I've been in person there being a correspondent the last few years. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. It gives you a focus, because Inbound is like, you go to Inbound, it's like drinking from the fire hose. It's like so much information coming at you at once. And being a correspondent, that really helps me to kind of focus. I'm going to say, I want to post on these particular topics. So I know what to actually listen for, rather than getting just completely overwhelmed by everything you could learn there, possibly. It's just.
That's where I get all my information. All my information comes from you all, the correspondence.
And it's a lot of fun. We drop a lot of content at that point. I know there's a lot of people who temporarily unfollow me during the week of and weeks, around Inbound, because it's like, okay, we get it. But there's so much to share. So much to share.
Interesting, because I usually don't follow you in general, and then I follow you for Inbound. So it's really weird. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's you. That's just
I should mention too, tickets are on sale if you want to go purchase those for Inbound. Just throw that out there. Question I had for you though is there a favorite? Now, granted, I met you at the last one, so that's obviously probably your most favorite one. But aside from that, is there a favorite Inbound that you've gone to that you can? And AJ's laughing. That's very nice of you, AJ. Is there a particular one that you've been at that really kind of stood out for you?
I feel like last year did, because last year there was so much. I felt like there was so much more in of course, first Nick, of course. But there was so much more available for the developer community. We've been fighting for that for years. And I think the first Inbound I went to was 2019. And AJ, I think, was my first friend at HubSpot. We had the developer day on what is now partner day. Yeah. We had the developer day on what is now partner day, I think the day before the conference. And I'm at the offices. I'm kind of meandering around going like a bunch of developers, nobody I know, everything. And AJ just like walks up to me and goes, "You look kind of lost," or something like that. I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm just kind of waiting. I just really don't know anybody here." And he's like, "You want something? You want to help out? You want to do something?" And I'm like, "Yes, I would love to work. I would love to work and have a purpose here." So he put me to work doing something or other, like passing out name tags or something like that. And so I consider AJ my first friend there, because he rescued me when I was bored, and unknowing of what I was doing. And okay, Dennis, like we met like later that day, so it's okay.
Yeah, okay.
You're so cool.
Whatever.
You still owe me a beer from that day.
I owe you a lot of beer.
True.
Yeah, but since then we've really been, I know, and you guys too, everybody on the HubSpot side, everybody on the developer side, we've always been working to really kind of get our cred in with Inbound and really be part of it, like the marketers are part of it, because if we don't do our job, they're not going to be optimized to do their jobs. So we really are part of the backbone of what goes on.
Yeah.
And last year, seeing more of that was just spectacular.
But wouldn't you say, Melinda, honestly, like that 2019 event, I don't know, for me, I think that might have been the best developer event we've had at HubSpot for inbound related content. I really had a special place in my heart, that one.
Yeah, that was one that the community put together, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun putting that together, and just all the ideas and the speakers and everything else. Like, that was so much fun.
I would love to be able to do that again. And I know, was it the year before last that we did one that was like a virtual in the fall?
Yeah.
And stuff. And that was nice, but having everybody in the same room where the ideas really can get going and just sort of organically, yeah, you're right. 2019, when we used to be able to do those were really fantastic. I'd love to be able to do that again.
Please.
I believe
I agree.
you were on the panel talk the following year for the virtual one, because I think that was the CMS panel talk that I led. Where was it? Was you? Who else? Mark Ryba. Aaron was on there.
Yeah.
And then, oh gosh,
What was that talk about?
It was just a CMS panel, just talking about everything related to CMS development. Like the big questions always like HubDB or custom objects, and so we touched on that and just general stuff.
Yeah, I remember Ryba. I don't remember the other two people who were on it.
No, I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah.
Well, Dharmesh, if you're listening, which you will at some point, I know you will.
That's right.
The McCormick Place here in Chicago has plenty of ample space if you ever want to run an inbound. Get to see me in the city of Chicago. It might not be a bad idea. I'm just throwing it out there.
Wow. Do you do tours of Chicago while you're out there?
I could. I mean, as long as it's on the north side, that's where I used to work. I wasn't really. So I could show you a lot of nice real estate on the north side of the city. I got real estate in too, Dennis. Thank you. That was great.
Well done.
Appreciate
done.
Appreciate that. See, it only takes, what was that? What were we on? Like 12 minutes? All right. Okay. We're good. We're good.
Nice.
Let's transition just a little bit. Tell us, Melinda, the origin story, essentially. What sparked your interest in technology, or what got you kind of into going onto the path that got you to where you're at right now?
Oh gosh. I've always had kind of a love-hate relationship with it. I had the little computer stuff as a kid, and I'd learn to program something, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, now I'm done with that. I'm through with that. I'm bored with this, and walk away. And then I come back and go I'm going to do something else. And then I was like, no, I can't stand this. I want to go outside and stuff. And I'm still kind of like that. I'm going to be the first one to run screaming away from my monitor at 5 o'clock, or 6 o'clock, or whenever the work is done. I'm like, and no more. Real love-hate relationship. I love doing stuff, and I also am ready to be done. So it was kind of over the years, and then I just kind of dabbled in it here and there. And then in college, I got a job in the industrial engineering department, which led me to building their first website in the early days of websites for the lab that I worked for, and that led to actually nothing for a while. I went into a whole lot of other things, did a whole lot of other things, and then came back to web development probably in my early 30s, and kind of never looked back from there. So yeah, I've been doing this now at Falgren I've been at Falgren for 15 years now.
What? Really?
Nice.
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
Came in as the result of an acquisition of a little company I was working for. So, Falgren itself about 12, and the other place about 3. I don't know. I don't know the math, but
Wow.
Somebody told me the other day,
what?
congratulations, 15 years. So I know. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how time flies, and you're like, wait, what? There's an anniversary coming up? What?
Right. Somebody said to me the other day, congratulations, Melinda. I'm like, what? And they're like, 15 years. And I'm like, about what? And they're like, you've been here 15 years. And I'm like, really?
Is that actually normal anymore? I feel like everyone moves to different companies on a yearly basis at this point.
And we have some of that, a lot of that turnover in agency life, but we also have some people who have been there 25, 30 years. So, we do have some longevity. It's a great company to work for, and then we have a lot of people who will go and like leave and work for like a former client for a while, and then they'll come back, and they come back with a whole new perspective, having worked in the actual, let's say, B2B sector, and now coming back, they've got a completely different perspective, like on agency, how agencies work with those clients. So we have a good number of people who bounce and then return.
Wow.
And that's a lot of really valuable experience.
Seriously. Something's going right, man. I don't know if I could ever go back to my agency. I love the people I worked with, but man, that was destroyed me after a while.
Agency life is different. It's different. I mean, I talked to a lot of my other HubSpot developer friends, and it's just sort of like, I feel like I'm on another planet entirely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's also true, but that's
well, thanks. Oh yeah. God, I just opened myself up for that one. I walked right into that. I totally walked right into that.
Now, the agency you work for, though, that you guys aren't just solely focused on HubSpot, right? Because the agency I used to work for was the same way. Like, HubSpot was a part of the business, but it was really like at the time it was Actron, which became Episerver, which became Optimizely. But it's like, yeah. So like we worked on those and like Umbraco and like a bunch of different systems. So like HubSpot was a small piece of it. And I don't know, to me, like it felt like it gave me more range to explore all the different things and see how I could apply those other concepts that we were using for other CMSs to HubSpot clients.
So yes, exactly. So, not only are we a full service agency, we have PR, government and crisis communications, marketing, media relations, advertising, print design. We're not even just a digital agency. We are the full spectrum, like big agency. And since this merger / acquisition / whatever last year, we have, I think we have around 400 employees now, most of them based in Columbus. And we just opened a San Diego office, the Shipyard. That's the sort of the corporate parent, so to speak. Just opened a pretty big office in San Diego. So we are nationwide. Fulgrim has always been kind of nationwide, but yeah, we're up to about 400 people now. So, and we win a lot of awards for mid-size agencies and stuff like that. So, not only are we just full spectrum everything, we are platform agnostic, like you were talking about, AJ. I am the HubSpot specialist. We have a few other people who work on HubSpot. We have somebody on kind of the admin side. We have somebody on the marketing automation side. We have a couple other developers who also know a little bit of HubSpot. I'm the SME as far as the developer side goes, and some of the admin. And then we are working in Laravel, Statamic, WordPress. We've got a site in Drupal, I think. We've got all kinds of things. We do HTML emails. I'm also one of the specialists in flat out HTML email, and that is a different animal altogether. That's what I was specializing in before we got into the HubSpot about 6 or 7 years ago. But in any given week, I'm going to be doing HubSpot, and then it's like, oh, sorry, you got to build a Statamic site now. And then, the next week it's like, well, we need you to do some WordPress, just basic maintenance. And then it's like, well, we need upgrades to this, and we need to migrate this. I do, I'm doing some of the DevOps too. So I'm the one who writes most of the content security policies and looks into how we work with, noncing some of the things and a little bit of the server structures and stuff like that. So it's really hard to dig in. And this is where I was saying that, my friends who do HubSpot, I feel like I'm on a different planet. Don't say it, Dennis. Because they really get into that depth. And it's like, as soon as I start to dig into something, somebody goes, I need you to build a Statamic site. And you're like, drop everything, change your entire mindset. And then when you come back, it's like, as developers, when you come back, it's like, where was I? The house of cards is now sort of like,
yeah.
And so you're starting to build it up again, and they go WordPress, and you're like, okay, So I have a very broad, outlook and a very broad perspective over things, and can see those similarities between platforms and things like that. But as for like depth that some of the, other HubSpot developers get, And it's a challenge. It's a challenge because, having breadth and depth is almost impossible
For
Yeah.
sure.
in
But I mean,
today's
like
time.
you have like fundamental philosophies that are true across
Yeah.
the spectrum, right? Like things
Yeah,
that
yeah.
do go from one place to the next. I imagine
Sure.
your depth in that area is probably pretty amazing.
Maybe. I mean, tailwind is tailwind, and
Right.
tailwind being
I
kind
mean,
of the center of a lot of CSS right now.
like when you're building a static HTML site, are you thinking about it as an individual unit, or are you thinking about it in a larger, how this connects with a CRM, or what else is this actually? What's the point?
Sometimes we do a lot of sort of basic B2B sites, a lot of what we would call brochureware, just stuff like that. Now, one thing though that's different again is that our themes, when we build a theme, it's bespoke for that client. They pay a lot of money for a very tight design, that is very tightly branded, very professionally done. So when I used to pick up the boilerplate theme to start with, the first thing I did was rip out all the theme settings because we're not going to use those, and we don't want someone on the client's team to accidentally use those, and because they paid a lot of money to get something really polished. And so it's bespoke. We don't build themes for the marketplace. We build themes for one client.
Yeah. But I mean, not just, is it ground up, or do you have some, like you said, the boilerplate? Do you still start from that, or have you gone something different than that?
I have, the last couple I have started from that solely because they have been for a client that started with that, and we're taking that and modifying it. There are a couple clients that we've taken themes off the marketplace and done child themes off of that and kind of heavily modified them. I have not started working with the Elevate theme yet and all of that. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start looking into that. Yeah.
It has, I must say about the Elevate theme, it has some really nice theme settings. Some stuff that they've done with it. Just the thing that just popped up the top of my head when you said Elevate was the border radiuses, the way it's visually displayed now, where it's like, it's not just an input with a number for like the border radius. It's like, do you want rounded, slightly rounded, or not? Like it just makes the selections that much more easy. Because I mean, like,
intuitive
for a developer, it's like, I'll put a pixel amount in there, no problem. But for like the end user who may not be as tech savvy, there was just some things in there where because I actually took a look at it. I reviewed it like I would a normal theme, and I was just so impressed with what they did that it just kind of, it really stood out to me. But yeah, it's the boilerplate, like it's one of those, it's a beautiful thing because it's one of those things where you can, if you can use it to build for the marketplace, or you can use it to kind of like, it's already stripped down as it is, right? That's, by definition, but like you can also take it then too, and you can build off of it into something else. It's been one of those things where it's like, when I first got here, I was made aware of the boilerplate, and I was just like, okay, that's something that a developer can use if they want to. I've now, at this point in my juncture here, it's been more of like a thing where I'm like, if you're a developer, just start with this, right? Because it's like, there's so much attention paid to that in the GitHub repository by tons and tons of developers, not just within HubSpot, but outside of HubSpot. I mean, even I've put in a request or two in there for, like to do some changes in it. But it's just like one of those things where it's like universal, and it's like one of those beautiful things that its upkeep is not just like behind like the curtain. It's not the wizard behind the curtain that just HubSpot, that like, external developers as well contribute to it. So it's, it's just one of those beautiful things that like now it becomes like a staple when I suggest it to people. So
yeah, it is a good foundational starting point. You can kind of go any direction with it. So, yeah, I like it for that.
I was going to ask you, Melinda, now there's a lot of experience that you've had within like the developer community with respect to like different, like you were saying, there's different, content management systems, but you're also too, it's not just tech for you. I'm told you're also classically trained. You're a singer as well. There's like, so there's more that like, it's amazing to me, people that have such a skill set. Like we talked previously, I believe it was with David Roma, where we'll read things about people, and you'll get tired just reading it. You're like, oh my god, like how can you do? Tell us a little bit about some of the other things, because like to me, I find that amazing. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a developer. Oh yeah, I'm classically trained singer. I'm like, how that is amazing to me. Like how do you keep it all together?
Yeah, there are not enough hours in the day, honestly. So yeah, my actual educational background is in classical voice and opera. I have a master's degree. I have sung for some of the opera companies around Columbus, and sung with some symphonies around Ohio. That was what I was pursuing in school. And that was part of the reason I wound up getting that job in industrial engineering. Is I was the last in a long line of musicians that a professor hired to do some of his clerical work. I got a job through a friend of mine, and I wound up thinking the clerical work was really boring, and I started doing some software prototypes in like HyperCard. I mean, yes, I'm that old. Just shut up, Dennis. Shut up, Dennis. I'm that old. HyperCard. I said it. I said HyperCard. When I started in college, we were on Mac Pluses.
Yes, you were.
A little black, with a little black and white screen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Those are what I had to work with. And then we got some like the Mac 2 that was a box about this big, and had monitors, separate monitors. It was exciting. I actually learned a lot of my original programming there on a Spark station, a Sun Spark station.
Whoa.
They were in a room at the end of the hall. And I was like, what does this do? I don't know. And I just started messing around with it. But I learned a lot on a Sun Spark station. That's how I got to love command line stuff. So command line has never bothered me because I learned on a Spark station. There was nothing fun on it. There were no pictures.
Was it in like a janitor's closet? I mean, you had to like walk down?
It was like I don't know if it was like a conference room or what. It was just a room with some tables and some Spark stations. And I'm like, I hope they weren't, I was like, I hope this doesn't mess anything up. I'm just going to start, So
like the main server, just
right. Right. So I wound up just kind of doing all kinds of things there, and sort of copy editing some of the grad students' research papers because I was really good in English language and stuff like that, and writing. So I wound up doing all kinds of stuff. And then I wound up building their first website, and there were 256 colors to work with. That was an exciting day. I mean, 256 colors.
So many opportunities.
Was that was that like a tables? Because I remember when I first started and I was building websites, tables. Dragging or copying and pasting table cells. It was obviously it was in real estate, but it was like literally copying and pasting table cells of listings to try to reorder them. It was so.
It's always
impossible. It's impossible. Yeah. And so. Yeah, all that is what made me really good at doing the HTML email stuff when I was doing that, a few years ago, because it's still all tables. It probably will always be all tables.
You think so? You really think
I feel like email is going to be obsolete before they give up their love of tables.
Seriously, I totally agree with you.
Opinion, but that's how I feel. So I did that. That led to a job at the opera. I've gotten all my jobs in really odd ways, it seems. But I wound up working for the opera, and I worked in fundraising. I worked in outreach and education. I worked in like the artist relations, getting all the singers who were coming in. I did their travel arrangements and stuff like that. So I did all kinds of different stuff there. Then from there, I went to the Columbus Foundation, which is a big grant making institution. I worked there in the grant making department for a while, and doing a lot of sort of paperwork, and then reviewing a handful of grants. And then from there, I decided I was going to try to make another go of singing, and the market just wasn't there for it at the time. So I fell back on the computer stuff. It was like, I can probably get back into this somehow, right? And I got a job at a little tiny agency that was owned by a friend of my husband at the time. And he was like, sure, I need somebody, come on in. And another weird way, I just kind of like said, can I have a job? And he's like, okay. So I wound up there, and that's the agency that then was acquired by Fulgren Mortine, probably almost 15 years ago. And here I am. So wow. Yeah, it's been a real weird, wild ride. I still sing sometimes, not as much, obviously. I still sing. I write for a local magazine, 614 Magazine. I do like feature stories. I have done concert reviews for the Columbus Dispatch back when there was like a newspaper. I mean, it's still there, but it was a newspaper, a paper newspaper at the time. Yeah, so I've done all kinds of things. I also have a degree in music education, so I've done a lot of teaching. I've taught voice lessons. I've taught horseback riding lessons.
Have you taught lessons on a horse, music lessons while riding a horse? Because
I've been asked to. I have not done it, but I've been asked to.
Oh wow,
that's amazing.
That's so crazy.
You mentioned that when you tried to go back into singing, I think I read somewhere like it's a pretty it's super competitive as far as and I being someone that doesn't have a lot of experience in it, honestly, like it wouldn't be something that I would have thought like really hyper competitive, in that scene.
It is because the way a lot of let's say opera works, you are hired for a performance, usually a production, and that production lasts about 3-4 weeks. So you come in, you already know your music. You better already know your music when you walk in the door. You come in, you do 3 weeks of rehearsals, a week of performances, something like that, let's say. And then you go on to the next job in another city, a different production, a different show, different language, possibly different staff. You go in there and you do it all over again, but in a completely different environment. And then you do it all over again in a completely different environment. And then if you have like a symphony gig, you go in there for 1 day of rehearsals and you have 2 days of performances and then you fly out. So it is really, when you are a professional musician, kind of on a regional or national level, you are constantly auditioning for things unless you're like the Pavarotti level. You're auditioning for things. You're going in and showing them that you can do this role in this kind of environment, or a modern version of this, or in a very traditional version of this, and that you're going to look the part and act the part. And it is essentially constant job interviews, because an audition is basically a job interview, and you're doing this all the time. You are always going places for interviews and always kind of hustling to get the next job. I mean, it's hard enough to get the next job when you're a developer, but when your job is a month long, you're going to have to keep, it's a constant cycle of basically job interviews where you sing.
Now I have a question. Do you have to physically be there these days, or can you do it remotely?
You can. A lot of it is going remote now, and but you got to think that the quality is not 100%
sure.
there. Recording, you don't see. You can do video, but video you can do different takes. How is somebody spontaneous?
Yeah, right.
It'd be crazy if it was just a bunch of people sending SoundCloud files to each other. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that I haven't done a whole lot. I do more just sort of stay at home because I can't travel now.
Yeah,
I've got a full-time job, so I'm kind of out of that loop. But yeah, it does help. But there's good and bad to virtual.
Plus, flying's overrated too. Just throwing that out there.
Of
course. Question for you. Once you started kind of going more towards the developer mode, right, and kind of saying this is going to be like the path, right? This is the direction. Were there things once you started down that path that kind of surprised you at first? Were there any type of things that you ran into where you're like, oh, I wasn't really expecting this?
I learned real quick that what you knew 8 or 9 years ago is gone. It was like a bucket of cold water to the face. I went in and I was like, yeah, I used to do all this stuff. I used to wait, you can't use blink tags anymore, you know. No more marquee. What? You know, no.
Oh, you're supposed to make things roll.
Right. Oh my gosh. No, it was crazy. And I was like, oh, I thought I knew how to do this. And I got back into it. I picked up and I relearned it. But no, I had a colleague, Matt, who at one point said, you are allowed 6 questions per day, no more. Because I was like, how do I do that? Wait, is this where I put this? Is this what I do with it? He's like, 6 questions per day, use them wisely. You know?
Really?
Oh yeah.
I would have never survived. I would have never made it out of the first year of HubSpot if I was.
No, the first couple of days after he said that, I was like, you know, but every once in a while I find myself, you know, like drowning in something. And I'm like, I gotta ask. And then I'm like, no, Matt said 6 questions per day, like 14 years ago. And I'll start going and digging up the answers myself, you know, and stuff. Yeah, he's traumatized me to this day. Thanks, Matt, if you ever see this.
All right.
He's not somebody I work with now. So, but
were you the only person on that team with him? I mean,
there were about four developers, but he just got tired of me asking questions. He was like, stop. Okay.
See, when I hear stuff like that, I'm kind of super grateful, not kind of, but I am actually super grateful that like HubSpot's community exists the way it does. Because I mean, you know, go back 5-10 years ago, even where I was at too, it was that same thing. It was still like a small, I guess you would call it a skeleton crew, right? Where it was like everybody was in the same room. Like the developer was there, the SEO person, I was the SEO person, but like, you know, the copywriter was there, like all these people were there, but like still you were basically the only tech person. And there was no like real estate community, like, you know, everything was such a guarded secret 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Like any SEO question, any development question, it was like, I'm not giving the competitor quote unquote, like information, where it now, especially with like the HubSpot community, like there is a definite difference where it's, again, and I always used to think, and I'll be honest, like that quote about, you know, the rising tide raising all ships, I was like, man, that's such a cheesy quote. But when I got here, it actually started to make sense. Do you know what I mean? Because it was like, I was seeing these things in live action. So it's a shame, like, you know, 10 years ago or so, like when we were doing stuff, I wish something like that would have been there.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah, the community really is great. And you hit on something there, Nick. I have never felt like, you know, we're not gonna tell you everything we know because you might be the competitor, you know. In this developer community, there really are no competitors. Maybe, you know, I think we're more interested in getting to the next level of what we can do. And to be frank, keeping up with the change log too. You know, we're swimming so hard that we don't have time to fight each other on anything.
Yeah.
And that's a really good thing. And I'm not saying swimming hard in the sense of struggling. I'm saying, you know, we are going so hard toward a goal here of making this entire ecosystem better for us. And so that we can deliver more for our clients, that I've never really encountered people, you know, fighting each other over, you know, like, you know, I know more than you and I'm not going to share it. I never encountered that at all.
No.
Yeah, too, it's nice because with imposter syndrome being always at least for me, like a consistent thing, having people out there that are more willing to almost mentor, right? Versus kind of ridicule. Who was it? It was BJ that said, like, you go into like a Reddit thing and you post the wrong answer on purpose so that way you could get the right answer with a different account. Remember, it was like that. Like, that's not the mentality, or that's not the behavior that like you will ever get in like the HubSpot community, right? In the developer community at all, which is like an amazing thing, because it's I wouldn't have thought, I would hope that wouldn't be the case, anywhere else, but it is. It really is. It still exists. That kind of like, oh, this is I have this information and you don't. I'm going to hoard this, right? Like so. Yeah, it does make a huge difference, and people like yourself, Melinda, that help participate in that, or so it makes it what it is. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Like yesterday, I was in a group chat on Slack with some other HubSpot developer colleagues of mine, and I led with, I know this is a stupid question, but. And then posed my very probably obviously fundamental question that everybody knows, and I got an answer, and I got no pushback, and I got no, hey, Melinda, that is a dumb question. It's like, I know it's a dumb question. We all know it's a dumb question. Could you just answer it for me? Because I just can't right now. And, I got an answer with no judgment, and I love these people for that.
Same. I agree with that. Yeah.
Now, have you had it where you've given an answer and then like a change has come down and then like somebody brings it back up to you and like it's like, oh, the past catching up again?
Yeah.
That happened to a lot of that happened to me a lot, and a lot of the questions that I had answered before I came to HubSpot, like a lot of things have changed since then. So then I get people that would reference like, oh, hey, 5 years ago you posted this thing. Was this ever fixed? And I'm like, well, now that I'm here, yeah, it actually is fixed. Hold on, wait.
The pace of everything is so fast. Yep. So fast. And, I've met the guys, at least at the time they were guys that did your documentation, the developer documentation. I think I met them at Inbound last year, and I have no idea how they keep up.
Because they're amazing.
There's times that I go through there and I'm like, that's not how, and I'm like, I need to, and I'm like, no, they probably know it. It's just that everything's happening so fast that trying to keep up, I'm a big, being a writer and stuff too, I'm big on documentation, and I can't imagine the gulf of knowledge that they have to distill into written documents. It's
so
just
true.
mind blowing. So good job.
Yeah. We'll send this to them. Make sure they
especially having to translate like my gibberish into like when I have to put a request in, and it's like, it makes sense in my head as I'm reading it, but then they'll come back and they'll be like, "Are you sure you don't mean to like?" And I'm like, "Wow, there's a lot of rocks jumbling around up here." I was like, "Whoa, yeah." So it's shout out to them, because there's hard. A lot to keep up with and a lot to like decipher essentially.
Let
me ask you, with what you're doing currently, Melinda, are there any challenges that you're kind of facing right now that you're working through in your current role, or kind of what you're working on now that you can talk about, of course?
Yeah. The biggest challenge really is what I mentioned before, is just switching gears all the time in being in an agency is, and I have a real hard time kind of keeping up with the constant pace of change with HubSpot. It's a real challenge because, again, start to dig into something, get pulled off onto something else. And, so it's real hard to keep up with a lot of that stuff. I feel like I could be reading this 24/7 and it wouldn't matter.
Is there something that, and the answer might be no, because sometimes I ask this question to people sometimes, and then I try to answer it myself, and there's times where I come up with like absolutely nothing. But are there things that you kind of use, whether it be like newsletters, or maybe there's a particular site, or maybe even someone you follow on LinkedIn that you use as a resource to try to keep up with certain aspects?
Oh gosh. Changelog. I get all the developer newsletters and everything like that. The monthly push that you guys put out. I watch this. I hit the Academy to try to see what's new on there. I have some friends in the ecosystem that I'm connected with on Slack, and kind of see what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, because we're all sharing ideas and knowledge. LinkedIn, I follow a lot of the developers on LinkedIn, and of course, what comes to mind right now is just Nathan, because his goats. Everyone wants to follow Nathan because of his goats. But, a lot of that, it's really kind of, there's more people, I'm friends with Anton, and he drops a lot of good knowledge, and Jenny, they drop a ton of really good knowledge out there on LinkedIn and elsewhere. So those are kind of my main sources.
Nice.
I was doing the show notes for Nathan's, and I just kept putting like more goats as just links. There was just so much, like it was such a pivotal part of the show notes that I had to add in a couple of goat posts there. But that's
really cool that he's got that as kind of his brand, developer.
Really amazing.
Dennis needs to incorporate the chickens more.
Trust me. In the future, you're going to be a lot more chickens. You're going to be seeing more chickens in the future, so don't worry about it. You've got like the Gold's Gym for chickens. I want to see that. I want to see like one with, like I said, power squatting. I want to see. There's a lot here we can do from a marketing standpoint here. Not that I'm being selfish. I'm just saying we could do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know it. Yeah, I know you're smiling. I know we can do it. There's live feeds.
Dennis, are you turning red? You look like you're turning kind of red. You look like you're blushing.
No. I'm just very happy about my chickens.
Now, I wanted to, because I don't want to go over time, but I wanted to ask you one more question before we get into like who Melinda is outside of tech. Is there a piece of because like honestly, this is one of my favorite questions, and maybe it gets a little too, I ask it every single time, but I just love the answers because they're so different. And that's because we talked about mentorship earlier, or I mentioned mentorship earlier. But is there like a piece of advice that you've been given? And it can be about work, or it can be about work-life balance. It doesn't have to be like honed in on a specific thing, but is there a piece of like mentorship advice that you've been given that's kind of stuck with you, or maybe you've even passed on, to others?
Gosh.
Only 6 questions.
Right. You're only allowed 6 questions per day. I mean, that has stuck with me in kind of a mentoring type of way of, seriously though, that forced me to learn to be self-reliant. And we always say, it's okay to ask questions, and it is okay to ask questions, but, it's also maybe, you're not learning by just asking questions. Dig in, see if you can answer it yourself. And if you can't answer it yourself, ask the question with, this is what I've tried. I mean, thanks to Matt and Stack Overflow really for that one, show what you've done to actually try to fix the problem yourself, because that shows that you're trying to learn. You really having a question answered helps you right now. Learning, figuring out how to answer your own question is, that's like, give a guy a fish and, teach a man to fish kind of thing. Teach yourself to solve your own problems. And that's where the actual learning is taking place. So honestly, I guess I could credit Matt and his 6 questions with, good piece of advice. It kind of, the bigger picture of that.
No, I was gonna say, because I had somebody do that to me before too in a previous role, and it was like you can only ask so many questions a day, and honestly, like you said, it made me have to dig for answers. It made me better about researching specific technologies, or like finding the right words to use to research what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I was thinking on the whole self-reliant note, and you've been in tech for many, 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 many years now. Like,
it's a lot of monies, Dennis.
Yeah, come on.
A lot of monies. Are you calling me old?
Many, 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 many.
6. The rule of sixes. Rule of sixes here.
How is the whole like being a woman in tech, the evolution of that, and being self-reliant there? Is it better now than it was then? Can you speak to any?
It's improved over the years. I've had some. There've been some inadvertent kind of, mansplaining or taking credit for somebody else's ideas kind of incidents over the years. Minor. I've always, I feel like I've always been pretty well respected. I don't, me personally, I don't like to identify as like a woman developer. I am a developer. We are all developers here. You know, the physical body that we were born into is irrelevant to whether or not you can program a computer. So I don't necessarily identify. I've gone to exactly one Women in Tech thing, and it was in Inbound one year when I walked past it at like 7 a.m, said to my colleague, let's see if we can get into there and to see what it's like, and went to that. We talked our way in. But you know, I didn't really learn anything there that I couldn't have learned anywhere else. So I never felt a need for that community myself. Is it great for other people? Absolutely. So, you know, it never really was a big thing for me. Yeah.
Okay.
That's me. That's just my personal experience.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about who is Melinda when we're not talking about tech, because there's one of the things we really like to do is just I mean, don't get me wrong, it's as equally important to know about your journey as you've gotten to where you are today within your career, within the things you've learned. I mean, those are all just as equally important. But for us too, when we're talking with people, and especially, and I know it's going to be a little bit easier because we all know each other, or at least, I mean, AJ and Dennis know you from years back. Of course, I didn't grace everyone with my presence until 4 years ago. So it's been, I'm getting there. I'm getting there with being part of the cool kids. I'll get there eventually. I will. But tell us about some of the things that you do to kind of like unwind from everything. Because like, I'll be honest. Like again, there's people where, you know, if David Roma is the most interesting man in the world, you are the most interesting woman in the world, because the things that you've done, like the amount of things that you've done just in general is like, it's substantial. And it's like, it's one of those things where, again, you read it and I'm like, I don't think I do shit. Like, I don't, like, honestly, like, I'm like, I got to start like picking up a hobby or something. Cause I really like,
Nick,
but what are some of the things that,
not untrue.
What's that?
You don't do much. So, I mean, not really.
No, I mean, I make pictures with AI, and that's about it. But
that's a skill.
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
It's a whole.
You have the right number of fingers, you're doing well.
No, sometimes it doesn't. I just tried to do that for like the thumbnails for some of the episodes, and I kept still getting 4, even though I specifically said put 5. But nevertheless, I can complain about AI later. What are some of the things that make Melinda up as a non-techie? Like what do you do to kind of like unwind?
Well, gosh, you know, we've covered the fact that I'm a musician and a writer. I am also I have a horse, and I go ride my horse to unwind. Had 3 horses at one point. 2 of them aged out, so I have a horse that's about 14. She's about 14 years old now, and I ride her. I have fun with her. I've actually leased her out for the summer to a teenager who wants to show her. So that's pretty cool. And she's doing real well with her, which is good. It's not an easy horse to ride. And this teenager's doing a really fantastic job with her. So I'm really proud of that kid. I have a couple dogs. I walk them around a house and all that, you know, homeowner stuff. I am vice president of a German American cultural society here in Columbus. I'm the 4th generation of my family at that club, and probably 3 of us have been in leadership there. So of the generations, so I do that, and I am one of the captains of their airgun shooting team. Target shooting is a big traditional German sport, and so we have an airgun shooting team, and we travel around the Midwest to other German clubs that have shooting teams, and we do indoor Olympic style matches. And actually we're having a regional match next weekend. So getting ready for that.
Have you ever attempted it's the target shooting, but the ones where you have to like ski 50 miles and then shoot a target?
Biathlon? No,
yeah.
I have not tried that because I am terrible on skis.
That looks so brutal.
I get the shooting part real well, but then the skiing, I'd be like, I just fall down and probably break limbs.
Do you get a lot of your friends saying, if the apocalypse happens, we're coming to your house?
I was just
I have a couple friends, yes.
Can we have a meeting spot that I know of, because I will not survive in a zombie apocalypse.
I even have one friend that I have said the same to her. So it's like, if the apocalypse happens, we're a team.
Okay.
We're Thelma and Louise, you know, we're whatever.
I mean,
we're gonna be
every
able to-
Walking Dead episode has somebody who can ride a horse, who could shoot well. I mean,
Right?
yeah.
You know, there is a sport of mounted shooting, and if my horse were faster, I'd probably try it. But it is target shooting with blanks at like little targets, and it's like barrel racing with things that you shoot at in between. It's fun. There's also archery where you're running down like a big half-mile long or mile-long thing and loading and doing archery. I have never tried any of those. I feel like that would be incredibly fun. My horse she's built to jump very high things, not run fast. So
are you coming to Inbound this year? Are you
I
going
am.
Could you please ride your horse there? I want you to ride in majestically, singing some
I
operatic
have to get
song.
started now to ride her to San Francisco.
Get going. Get going.
We need to get you on the spotlight stage, basically, and then introduce
Exactly.
you. Just come out on
I
the
want you to
Oh
kick
my
up
gosh.
really high on stage to
I
start
could
off.
ride in there
Inbound.
like who did that? Somebody did that one time. Like the
In my head, I'm picturing like, do you ever see? I can't remember what it was, but there was like an opera where they were on horseback, but they were like literally doing like. Do you ever? It might have been. Who knows? It might have been a Bugs Bunny cartoon. I don't even
It is
remember. But
Bugs
like
Bunny. It's
literally
in
on
my head right
horseback,
now.
like dressed as Vikings doing opera, like that.
Oh,
like,
Sounds like
yes,
Bugs Bunny.
it's the flight of the Valkyries. Dun da 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 da. You know, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit.
Yeah.
That's
The Valkyries were the sort of half human, half god women, a troop of women who rode down from the heavens on horseback to collect the souls of the dead from the battlefields.
Okay, so this is what's
yes.
happening at Inbound.
I was just gonna say, how are we not making this happen right now? Like, who do we have to talk
we're
to?
gonna
I want
have-
to start slacking
We're
people
gonna have
now.
the Wagner Ride of the Valkyries at Inbound. Okay.
The
That
ride
would
of the
be-
Figure it out.
Melinda's gonna come in and then she's gonna save everybody with all their like terrible code and she's gonna make it all great. And then we'll try it
Yeah.
I mean, we've already got like people like John with the capes and everything. I mean, we're
Yeah.
halfway
Yes.
there.
We are
We're
halfway there. Yeah.
there.
Yes.
I'll play Elmer Fudd.
Now I'll tell you what. That would be something I might get on a plane for. I would highly consider getting on a plane and going to Inbound if that were going to happen.
Oh my god.
There isn't much that'll get me on a plane except for maybe like a fifth of Jack Daniels. But like anything else, that might be the other thing.
All
That's
right.
the Jack Daniels and the Valkyries. There we go.
I mean, I could retire after that. I'll tell you right now. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. No, I love that.
That is a fun fact. Die Valkyrie, the Valkyries, that is a scene from the Ring Cycle, which is a 20-hour, I believe 20-hour long, 4-day long opera.
Yeah.
That, and if you read that, it's based on Norse mythology and everything. And if you are familiar with the plot of this opera, and you hear Tolkien saying, "No, I didn't base it on the Ring Cycle," you'll be like, "Uh-huh."
Sure. Have you
Because
gone
it's
to
a
one
lot
of
of the
those?
same stories. A lot of the same stories.
Have you gone to a performance?
I have not, because it takes so much money, time, and effort to put one on that. First of all, I probably couldn't afford the tickets. Second of all, they're only going to be at the biggest places on the coast. You might see it in Chicago, but you're not gonna see it in Ohio probably. And if you do, it's like a once in a lifetime, because again, a 3-hour opera is a massive undertaking. A 20-hour plus the orchestra is so big in operas like this that you have to have people with very, very special loud voices, because in opera you have no microphone. That's you on the stage. There is no microphone. Musical theater, you're allowed to have a microphone. Opera, you are not. So these people have to sing over like 120-piece orchestra, 150-piece orchestra, a giant orchestra, using just their voice. So we're talking very, very special singers that have voices, 1 in a million voices to put on this. And then you have to get dozens of them to do a 20-hour opera. I mean, it's an undertaking that's just massive.
Is that like a package deal? Like if you buy day one, you get, because it's like, I can't imagine it's like WrestleMania where it's like you can buy Saturday's ticket or Sunday's ticket, and you can
because they are all sort of separate but interconnected stories. You usually can buy one, but mostly it's going to be package deals.
Okay.
Only Nick would associate this with WrestleMania.
I know.
It just happened. I don't know. Like I'm just saying, that was that popped in my head as like a multi-day event where you would need tickets.
Music performance, and then the most fake wrestling television.
Right.
I'm a Randy Orton fan. I can't help it. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's, but no, I that has to be something, because like there's been times where, and it hasn't really been opera, but like just to be able to anything past 2 hours, I can imagine it has to be stressful on the body and the mind. But like, especially without a microphone, I didn't realize that. That's that to me. Like, I can't imagine. Like, do you ever get like? There has to be some like tips or tricks? Like, how do you not lose your voice like every other day?
That's what a lot of the training in school is about. It is about, how do I say this in a nutshell? Leveraging the natural resonance in your head and pharyngeal throat cavities. Your sinuses are echo chambers, basically, kind of. Your skull, there will be resonance coming from your skull. And you're leveraging that to actually amplify your voice rather than just yelling. Yelling is very hard on your vocal cords, which are technically called vocal folds, but same thing. But yelling is very hard on this. Whispering is actually very hard on your voice. But just projecting, just using the muscles in your throat and stuff to get resonance out of your own voice is will naturally amplify it. And different skull shapes, different skull sizes, you know, you're going to see people have wider cheekbones, often have bigger voices because they have larger sinus cavities in there that will allow resonance.
Does
things like that.
Do you think, Melinda, Nick's hair, if he had enough hairspray in it to solidify that, would be a good way to amplify his
I think it would be
his voice?
fantastic.
Yes.
I've been told my head's an echo chamber because there's nothing in here. So I mean, like I can kind of relate slightly, I guess, a little bit. But
I mean, yeah, that would probably get some of the higher frequencies. Yeah, that hair. Yeah, you need a little more product though. A little more product.
Just a little more.
No such thing as too much product. I'll throw it out there. There's no such thing. So I can always improve. There's always a level I can go.
So Melinda, let me ask you one more quick question, because I know we are at time, but because you've been the music journalist and you've seen so many, who's the one musician that, like, famous musician that you've met that you remember, like it was like a meeting and you're like, oh God, I remember this meeting. Like, is there one?
Gosh, you know, it actually wasn't in music. It was an article for 614 on this one. Sorry, AJ, but you know, I'm going to last year I interviewed R.L. Stine for an article.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got to interview R.L. Stine. He is actually from Columbus. He grew up in Columbus. He tells us, you know, he was the poor kid in the rich suburb. He is a delightful human being, funny as anything, great to talk to. But, you know, that was kind of the interview of a lifetime. The editor said, do you want to interview R.L. Stine? And I'm like, yes. I mean, who doesn't?
Right.
You know, and that was really fun. Doing that article.
That's so cool.
Did you have goosebumps while you were doing that?
I had all the goosebumps.
Did he churn out like 7 more copies of Goosebumps while you had the interview? Because that guy's
probably. And you know, and then he's now like writing like baby horror books for his grandchildren and publishing them. You know, so he's still at it. You know, a couple Goosebumps here and there, but yeah, he's like, oh, I have like an early childhood horror book. And it's like, hey, you know, and he's like, oh, but it's early childhood. It's okay. It's like monsters.
Yeah,
But yeah. So that was kind of the highlight of my writing career. Music,
so cool.
Most of the stuff I did was reviews, so it was concerts and stuff. But I've been to some pretty cool concerts and gotten in free. It was fun.
Yeah, I know you've influenced my musical selections and stuff for sure, because like the things that you recommend to me, I definitely go into. I know it's not the opposite because I have terrible taste in music, but
you know what though, you're the one who got me to actually listen to was it Jack Johnson?
John Mayer
without crying. I didn't cry. I listened to John Mayer like a big girl. I don't like John Mayer, you guys. Never did. And AJ convinced me to listen to John Mayer, at least intentionally, if not willingly. And I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would.
Huh.
Was that because of the Grateful Dead, AJ? Because he was that during that when we went and saw him?
It was the album that he released while he was on tour with them. Long Train Home, I think was the album.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the last concerts me and AJ went to. Was the Grateful Dead when John Mayer was,
Alpine.
at Alpine. Yeah,
Alpine.
that was interesting. We'll keep that for the after hour show. But that was interesting.
That was an amazing show.
It was a good show. Yeah, that was good. We are running up against time, so I wanted to thank you, Melinda, for coming on, because like this was fantastic. It's good. I mean, we only got to meet briefly at Inbound, and I was probably running around with like low blood sugar trying to find food. So that was, it's usually when I'm out, that's the typical default status for me. But no, this was fantastic. It was great to get to talk to you and get to know more about you, and, and for the viewers as well. Cause I mean, like I said, your body of work it's one of those things, again, you read it and you're like, that one person, is this one person? Are we talking about a group of people? So it's
I filled out that page and I was like, oh, maybe that's why I don't have a lot of depth on certain things.
There's no lack of depth at all. Like this is one of those things where it's like, it's inspiring. You know what I mean? It makes people want to get up and get off the couch. I'll be honest, because it's thank you so much for
on a horse.
Or I get on a horse. Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
All right, we'll start working on that Valkyrie thing for San Francisco.
I want that to happen so bad. I do. Is there anything you wanted to shout out, or is there any people can find you? Or
you can find me on LinkedIn, and you guys can post it. It's a made up German word. So if I spell it,
I'm gonna start working presently on the show notes and then go backwards.
Whoa.
I've already shamed the people on the previous episodes because I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm only like 4 behind. So I promise it's like, once you get to about 1 a.m, I'm like, I don't want to look at myself anymore on video. So it's one of those things, but yeah, we're getting close. I promise. Okay. It's gonna be one of those running gags at a certain point. So but thank you so much for coming, and we really appreciate it. And again, thanks to AJ and Dennis. Without them, this really doesn't happen. It's easy for me to just kind of sit here and talk and just goof around, but they put in a lot of the work behind the scenes. So that's very appreciative of that. And of course, very appreciative of Melinda for coming on and, having to deal with us goofballs. So
I've been dealing with those goofballs for
a long time.
You're immune to it by now, I suppose.
I'm so immune to it by now. So.
But I will leave everybody with this one thing. He didn't come up with the quote, but he was credited for one of the ones saying it. But that was to, of course, stay hungry and stay foolish. Unless it's a Friday and you're trying to deploy something, don't be that foolish.
Thank you. Sage advice.
Yes.
All right, y'all.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.